Hello, good day to you. As our physical body is in need of material food, so as our soul is in need of His Word. And so every day, we are giving you God's Word so that our souls will be fed by His living Word. One time, there was a 9-year-old boy who received a ship boat. It's like actually a toy from his aunt from abroad. When the toy arrived, the boy was very excited. He would like to open it already. When he arrived in their house, he opened the box excitedly. However, the problem was, he found out that that boat has to be assembled. It was composed of many different tiny and big parts. And so he needed to assemble it. Usually, whenever he received something like that, he would assemble it with his dad. But this time, his dad wasn't around. His daddy was out of town. And his excitement could no longer be held. And so he thought of ways how he could do it. He felt sad about that, and he said, how shall I do this? My dad is not around, and he's gonna be back after a week or two. So it's gonna be a long period, and if he's not gonna do anything, if he won't see anybody who's gonna help him, what will happen is that he will just stare at that toy in frustration for around 1 to 2 weeks. But the boy suddenly remembered that whenever he gets something like that in the past, his dad would always go and look for the manual. There is always like a piece of paper attached to it, and then it provides a guide for whoever would receive that kind of toy, a guide for the person to build it himself or herself. And so when he remembered that, he said, I'm gonna look for the manual. I'm gonna look for the guide. I'm gonna look for the piece of paper that would give me the step-by-step process so that I can build this boat that I have received from my aunt. And the little boy indeed went to the box again, searched for that piece of paper. Lo and behold, he found that piece of paper. And it really contained all of the instructions that he needed for him to be able to assemble that boat that he received from his aunt. And so the boy was, he really tried his best to assemble it. And in a matter of around 3 to 4 hours, he finished assembling the boat and he started enjoying it. A week later, his dad arrived. His dad was so happy to find out that when he received that toy, he did not just leave it and he did not remain sad looking at it without doing anything. Instead, the little boy did it as his dad did it. You know what? The boy could have stayed lonely. The boy could have stayed just purely anticipating for the coming of his dad so that he can enjoy the boat later. But this boy did not remain in that kind of defeat situation because he had in mind to do that thing what his dad did. You know, sometimes this is what we go through. God desires for us to imitate Him as our dad. Yes, we have human daddies, we have human beings that we look up to, but more than anyone else, I think we have to look up to Jesus and imitate Him. This is actually what John wrote. If you look at 3 John chapter 1 verse 11 or John 11 because 3 John 11 because there is no other chapters. 3 John 11, it says here, Beloved, do not imitate what is evil, but what is good. The one who does good is of God. The one who does evil has not seen God. Now, there are two things that happen in this world that we can observe around us. There are good things and there are evil things. And we always have a choice, actually, which one to imitate. Are we going to do what is good or are we going to abide with what is bad? You know, the text is encouraging the believers to choose, to imitate what is good. John was dealing with a person called Diotrephes here, and this guy was actually doing some things that are wrong in the church, and he was accusing even John himself. And what happened here at the last part of this letter, at the ending part of it, John was advising the believers to imitate not the action of this man, but the action of those who are following God. Same as the action of Christ following His Father. You know, this is a call to selective imitation. We always imitate someone, whether that is a person related to us like a dad, a mom, or somebody close to our hearts, or someone we look up to. We often imitate someone in the way we dress. We often imitate someone in the way we behave. There is often an imitation that happens in our lives. But this text that we have right now, it calls for a selective imitation. Imitate what is good. Just like this little boy, he imitated the good act of his dad. And so, let's do it. Let's be selective in the way we imitate things, because we ought to imitate what is good. Because when we imitate what is good, it tells the world our relationship with God. With this, I am praying that you will experience more of God's guidance and leading as you do the selective imitation. God bless you all.